Let's bring in Dan Hoffman, former CIA station chief, served in Moscow, and he's also a Fox News contributor. So, Dan, you know, obviously we have Paul Whelan that's over there. We have our own colleague Evan there. Should we be concerned right now that something could happen to them with Putin his move right here? Obviously, we don't know yet if Putin is responsible, but all sources are pretty much going to point to Putin being responsible.
Yeah, no, this was Vladimir Putin's decision for sure.
Yeah.
And look, there's no rule of law in Russia. There's a brazen violation of human rights that takes place on a daily basis. That's what Putin uses his security services for. And remember, he was the director of the Federal Security Service, the FSB, and that's what they do. They were the ones responsible for poisoning Navalny with the banned chemical nerve agent in the first place. They're the ones responsible for ensuring that he would head off to that Siberian death camp. Look, I have a lot of concerns here about U.S. Citizens being held. Dana Perino made a fantastic point there about why it's imperative for us to get our citizens home. Every moment they spend in these sorts of conditions is a risk to their lives. They're so very much in harm's way. And this latest tragic death that we've seen at the hands of Vladimir Putin is further example. We've got to do more, and Vladimir Putin holds all the cards. He just increased his leverage over our citizens being held. I expect Vladimir Putin to ask for more, not to be generous in returning them to the United States.
You know, you just hate this hostage swap. That's the news of the day. I mean, that's all we're doing is paying for hostages and swiping people. But right now, according to reports, we really have none of their people. There's a spy evidently that was picked up in Germany. They might want to do that. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is. Do you know anything about what they want, even though I'm hesitant to play into it? But then again, if you're Paul Whelan, anything to get him out?
Right. So the latest from Putin's press spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, was that these negotiations need to happen in silence, in secret. And so it's very hard for us to track them through the media. The United States is trying hard to get our U.S. citizens out of harm's way in Russia. But again, this is Vladimir Putin's asymmetric warfare. We enjoy the rule of law in the United States. When we arrest a Russian like Viktor Bout, the arms merchant of death, there's a reason for that, and there's a judicial process. In Russia, there's nothing of the sort. Putin just throws his enemies or anyone he likes in jail, and it's extraordinarily arbitrary, and then he leaves them there until he gets what he wants in return, and he has tremendous leverage. We don't have any leverage to get our people out right now. And that's the challenge that we face, frankly. And Brian, you're right. I don't see anything in the near term where we have someone the Russians want. They do want their murder assassin who's being held in Germany for a hit job. But the Germans don't want to release him. And again, I think Vladimir Putin sees this deliberate killing, murder of Navalny, first and foremost to demonstrate to his own people, don't mess with me as the elections approach. If anybody is treacherous and thinks that they can get away with contradicting me, this is how you'll end up. That was the first message. But secondary one to the United States is, hey, I think I need more now from you if you want to get your people back. And by the way, every moment that they're in their Siberian death camps in the gulags is a great risk to them. So you might want to step up and give me what I want.
Yeah, Dan,
that's just straight up, mafia extortion.
What is that facility like, if you know more details about that? And if you know details about Navalny's family, we keep showing a beautiful picture of his 2 children with his wife. And where are they living? What does this mean for them?
Well, so first and foremost, I've been to some of those places in Russia. I've been to Lefortovo prison, which is not where Navalny was being held, but it's very much indicative of what Navalny was faced with. It's the prison in Moscow where Evan has been held, and it is just horrific there. Whatever you might think about our penal system in the United States, think again when it comes to Russia. It's just awfully nasty. And I've heard stories from those who were held in Russia about just how they were mistreated, how they were not fed properly. There's a look at Alexander Navalny's family, who are overseas and not in Russia, of course, and had to have expected that when he went back to Russia that this would be his fate. And he knew that too. And I think that Navalny saw a larger cause It's a very Russian thing to do, to sacrifice himself for the larger cause of freedom for his country, knowing full well when he went back to Russia that Vladimir Putin would turn his ire on him, and this is how he would end up. It's just a tragic story, but one that we should remember. Look, the House of Representatives is not taking up this bill to support Ukraine. They're on recess until February 28. Maybe they should come back home and do their job.
Yeah, got to get them the money to fight off this. There's really no good part to Vladimir Putin. It's not that we have to understand him. He's an evil guy with evil intentions, and he tells us exactly what he's going to do, and he does it, and we're always surprised when he does it. They are a number one or number two geopolitical foe. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.